What's up, everyone? Today we are talking about how to get started strength training for beginners. This is a question that we get asked all the time, and it is a really good one because there is so much information out there and people get analysis paralysis. And the way you get started on your strength training journey is really, really important. And it's actually a lot simpler than you think, but it requires some focus. So stick around if you're a beginner and you want to know how to get started with strength training.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.
Hey everyone, in case we haven't met, my name's Rad Burmeister. That's my brother Yanni Burmeister. We're the co-founders of Unity Gym and co-creators of the UMS, the Unified Movement System, where we turn driven people into superhumans. And the way we do that is that our program is a very unique, perfect blend of strength and flexibility. If you want to know how we do it, grab one of the free blueprints, the flexibility, strength, or nutrition blueprint. There's a link in the description of this video. And join the UMS Movement Mastermind private Facebook group. Again, there's a link in the description of this video. That's where we go live answering your questions and doing live Q&A, just like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, quickly want to give a good shout out to our friend Phil White, doing it lonely at home because he's not joining us on these shows, and he would love to, and we would love to have him here, and we're still working on it, the software and the integration and how to bring him in live. But I do want to really give him a big shout out because he is still producing these shows into the Sound of Movement podcast, and it's a really, really great way that people are digesting the content who can't catch the live stream. So thank you very much, Phil, and thank you very much to everybody who's listening in on the Sound of Movement podcast.
Yep, for sure.
Now,
well, let me dive into this one because you've
I had the limelight yesterday.
You've had the limelight for the last couple of days, so I feel like I don't want to spend another show sitting here being quiet.
No worries.
So we've had a really good question come through, which is such a common question for us, and I'm actually going to tap this onto another bunch of comments that we're getting in the Movement Mastermind. So as always, we're going to jump in and answer the questions of our online tribe in the UMS online coaching program. And Marie,
this one comes from a brand new member, so big shout out. Welcome to the tribe, Marie.
Welcome to the tribe. I know that I've already helped you a little bit with understanding your goals and what it is that you're trying to achieve. And she's saying, quick question, I watched the foundations tutorials and looks like I should start that on Monday. The balance testing series, should that be done before the foundational series? I might be a tad confused on this one. I'm also excited to add in the flexibility and mobility. I've watched those tutorials. Looks like flexibility is good to do each day, and then mobility as often as it can be fit in. That's absolutely right. Which comes first? In an ideal world, if I had time to do both along with the foundations training in a day, what order would be the ideal? Last question, it seems to be popular in the tutorials to work out without shoes. Yes, and she's got a question mark there. So first thing I'm going to say is, your concern here is the driving factor as to why our entire Thinkific site is getting rebuilt right now. And in hopefully about 4 weeks, your experience, every one of you, is going to be dramatically improved. We have invested heavily in getting it's like the equivalent of a WordPress designer for a website, but that's specifically for our Thinkific site. And it is
just for those of you playing at home who don't know, the Thinkific site is where we host all of our online courses
coaching,
and
it's a beast of
coaching.
A platform, and it has HTML coding capability, but all I've done is built the whole thing with the basic template that they give you with no understanding of how to do it. I did it all, so I am a personal trainer.
And our first goal, let me just chime in and say, our first goal, which Rad took 100% drive on this and control on this, was just to get our content up there. Yep. So we had a lot. First, it was get what's in our heads out and produce it into content, and then it was get the content up on the platform, and it all just went up there. And then we were sort of like, well, how can we give the best and most amount of value to our online subscribers? Let's just give them access to everything. So a lot of the stuff we sell in flash sales and as standalone products, and that's really about building trust and in the marketplace with people who haven't worked with us before. But it can obviously become really overwhelming when you log in there if you're a new member and you don't have a clear path as to start. And that's why we're rebuilding the site completely.
And in hopefully in a month, all of your experience is going to be so much simpler. Not that doesn't mean there's going to be less there for you. It's just going to be laid out in so much of a simpler way. It's going to be really, really cool. So the first thing I'm going to say is I'm going to try and make this as simple as we can for you, Marie. Start with the foundational series. Forget about the other stuff. Forget about the structural balance testing, any of that stuff. The foundational series is perfect for you. It is designed for people that need general balance between strength and flexibility, and they just want to make their body stronger and overcome old injuries and prepare themselves for the work that's coming ahead. And there's so much stuff to look at, so just go straight to the foundational series. The next thing is, so it looks like which comes first: flexibility, mobility, foundations training. What comes first is just to do the workout exactly as it is, which means there's the strength and the flexibility that you do, and you do a 1-to-1 ratio. So you do a set of the strength training and then a set of the flexibility training. It's all explained there in the videos.
Now just wait a sec, because I want to address something, and I know I'm cutting you off, but it's important to say this. The Foundations program, and as you'll learn, the Progressions program as well later on, they all include flexibility and mobility. So you do a mobility warm-up, and you also do flexibility training in a 1-to-1 ratio with your strength training during the program. Mm-hmm. So although there is the mobility masterclass and the 18-minute stretching routine, those are add-ons that we add on later on if you have the time for it or if you need it. But in most cases, if you're just starting out, you're going to get such a massive improvement from just focusing on that Foundations program. You don't need to worry about anything else except nutrition and really establishing some strong goals and a strong why you are doing this training, so that you can align all that with your training going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that the program has been designed, Marie, is it has a 1-to-1 ratio of strength and flexibility. So don't feel, a lot of people come into the program and they think, oh my God, I really want to get flexible, so I want to double down on it. We don't recommend it, that you do anything extra on top of what's within the program. And the reason why is because...
At least in the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, because the thing that is going to matter the most, that is going to give you the best result by a long shot, is consistency and frequency. So that means the frequency that you train, so be that 3 days a week, 4 days a week, maybe 5 or 6 days a week if you're a high achiever, and the consistency that you do that consistently week in, week out. As soon as you start to add more and more to your program, the workouts start to become a little bit overwhelming. And on any days where you don't have a high level of motivation and you're not really feeling it, it's so easy. And I've fallen victim to this so many times myself, even just in the last year, where I look at my program and my workout and I go, oh my God, really? I've got to do all of that today? And the better workouts are the simpler workouts. For those of you that have been with us since the start, for a year and a half, Blakely, Tom, you're the only people that I can think of off the top of my head that have definitely been with us from day one. You will have seen how much we've stripped back from these workouts over time. When we first launched this, they were bigger than they are now. There was more to them. And we did that because so many people were voicing like, oh my God, I get through half of this and then I'm like, what am I missing out on? How am I doing this? We failed so badly by doing that.
Yeah.
And so we've stripped these workouts back. The Foundations program used to be a 6-day-a-week program. It's now a 4-day-a-week program for that exact reason. We don't want people to look at it and go, oh my God, 6 days a week, how am I going to do that? So for the time being, don't worry about there's so much stuff you've got there, and I know it's really easy. It's like a kid in a candy store to go, oh my God, I really want to get flexible. I'm going to do that program. And I want to learn how to do handstands. I'm going to do that program. Just start with the Foundations program and focus only on that. Create laser vision, tunnel vision. Don't even open the other programs. Work on that.
Yep.
Even if you came into the ecosystem by purchasing the 18-minute stretching routine and you thought that was the best thing for you to do right now, that is an unbelievable program, and it's going to have a place in your life and in your training in the months to come. But right now, what is required is laser focus.
Yep.
And just focusing on the thing that you can get done. And if you do that, you should be able to get those workouts done in an hour when you learn them and you don't actually have to look at the sheet all the time. If you're having to look back at the sheet all the time, it might take you an hour and a half, like if you've got to look at the video again and remember it. But once you know the movement and you can just look at the sheet and go, oh yeah, I know that exercise, you should be able to get it done in about an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Marie. Of course, anything else that you want to... do you want to see if you can tag Marie in here, Yanni? I'm not sure if you can. Anything else that you need to know, let us know. And any of you that are watching live, let us know any questions that you have, so that we can answer them for you, okay? I can see we've got 16 people on the live stream here.
Yeah, guys, if you, I'm seeing 18 people. If you are on the stream, please... give us a comment and tell us who you are and where you're watching from. We love to know who's actually tuned in for the live stream. It's very, very important. I'm
going to say hi to my two friends. Tara and Oscar are on here. I've shared this to my personal Facebook page. Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for joining in. And Finchy's on there as well. How are you, brother? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to have a quick look at some of the questions that we've been asked in the UMS Movement Mastermind. And there's some really cool things that are going on here that I want to point out. And what I'm seeing is we're seeing people post videos of themselves. Aidan Potts, you're killing it, man. I'm going to address Aidan quickly because you're a member of the online coaching group. And he's posted a whole bunch of videos of his testing, of his structural balance testing. Now, I haven't commented on every one of them yet for a couple of reasons. You're not doing anything wrong. What those pictures and what those videos should be is a reference for you to be able to reflect back on in 3 months and see if you've improved. So that's the idea of, doing that overhead squat test. I can see that your ankles are coming off the ground and your shoulders are rolling forward. So we can see for you, just as an example, we really need to work on ankle flexibility, but we also need to work on opening up the thoracic area of the spine and increasing shoulder flexion. And you're going to see that now that you've done those tests and you understand how to do that, and I can see that you're a very highly committed person. Over the coming weeks, over the coming months, you're going to see some change. And when you retest, you're going to see it. Okay. So let's go into, the title of this show, How to Start Strength Training as a Beginner. We want to address what we said about Marie, which the idea is just get started with what you're going to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And keep it simple.
Yep.
Keep it simple in the beginning. The biggest result you're going to get, especially for a beginner, is the stimulus itself, not how fancy the stimulus is. It's the repetition, it's the volume, it's the consistency, it's the frequency of training that you get the initial level up from. So a perfect example of this is that if you're used to, if let's just do a case study here, someone who's been training with a personal trainer twice a week for the last couple of years, and they, had a bit of time off, something like that, and then they're coming back, they're starting again. You're used to training twice a week, and you might have gone and done a little bit of cardio outside of those other workouts or something like that. Your biggest opportunity for improvement right now is going to be going from 2 times a week to 3 or 4 times a week. That's presenting a huge opportunity to level up. Not a more fancy workout. A more fancy workout twice a week is going to do Buckley's in comparison to leveling up to an added workout a week.
Yep.
And that's what I like to say. Always my priority for a new person who's training is to level up the frequency of exercise, the frequency of dosage of exercise, which is usually, most people have it in their minds that training 3 times a week is good, and that's where their starting point is, and that's fantastic. Okay, let's see, what do we need to do to your schedule to be able to get you to train 4 times a week? And then from 4 times a week to 5 times a week, because those improvements, the gains, the adaptation that you're going to get from that will be far superior to adding more complexity in your workouts, stuff like that. Frequency is king. Yeah, we got battery.
We got new lights coming soon. Australia Post is dying. Apparently, we ordered stuff weeks ago, and they're just getting smashed with all of the online orders.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So what Yanni said, this is we disagree on a lot of things, which is cool for you guys because you get 2 different perspectives, but we absolutely agree on this. It is about keeping it simple, keeping it something that you can do, and remember that when you're a member of the UMS online coaching program, you get access to so much that it is critical that you just laser focus on the thing that's most important. And the thing that's most important, I have learned this the hard way. My number one goal right now in my training is to develop calisthenics, strength, and skill. And I have been working on that now only for a few years, but what I've found over and over and over again is the two things that give you the greatest increase in calisthenics skill is raw strength and flexibility.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that you need most. And I love to do, you know, basic acrobatics and, you know, a lot of movement skills that I found the hard way by just trying to do it over and over again and developing injuries is that the things that I was lacking was just strength and flexibility.
Yeah.
So that's what you need to focus on the most.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm seeing a couple of shout outs here, some really cool stuff. So Frank, I don't know how to say your last name, bro. Suli or Frank Suli. It's Cuiuli. Has posted a photo of him doing a 45-degree handstand. That's actually a 60-degree handstand there, Frank, which is awesome because that's a progression from the 45-degree one. And he's asked for some feedback, which I'd say just create a bit more of a hollow body, engage your abs more, and a couple of people have said bring your hands closer together. But that's awesome, great accountability, you know, showing your training there.
I'd like to answer Kevin Lee's question
in
regards to tempo. Tuesday's squat day, how's my form? Been doing the 3.0 XO tempo to get used to it for testing. Do we follow any particular tempo when it's not testing week? Who was that?
That was Cal.
Oh, is she leaving?
Heading off, yep.
Kevin, that's a really good question. And we are sort of big on prescribing tempo for different goals. Tempo is super important, especially when you're learning. It's important to move at an explosive movement for the concentric phase and at a controlled movement for the eccentric phase, which is the down phase. If you're squatting, think on the way down is eccentric, squatting to the floor, and then standing back up is the concentric phase. We use a 30x0 tempo in our testing protocol for our anatomical structural balance blueprint. And that's because we need to keep it consistent and we need to keep it safe. And we also need to set a benchmark that can be replicated every time so we get a true test. So, I would say, yeah, absolutely. What Kumran's answered there is probably bang on. If you don't have a prescribed tempo in your program, then use the 30x0 as a template. But tempo is an overload variable. It's an intra-set overload variable that you can play with to elicit different results. So there are times when you will use a quicker tempo. 2-0, 1-0 is a very common tempo that people will use, or 2-0x0. At the moment, I'm doing a hybrid intraset overload variable where for my squat day this week, I did 3 sets of 2 pause reps where I paused for 4 seconds. I did 120, 130, and 140 kilos. We call them doubles because I did 2 reps, and for each rep, I paused for 4 seconds at the bottom. And then I followed that up, and this is where the hybrid part component comes in. I finished off with 3 sets at 150 kilos, 3 sets of 3 reps at 150, but a more explosive tempo with no pause at the bottom. So I was using the stretch shortening cycle. And some people might say, why would you do a heavier set after the lighter sets? The pause, 4-second pause at the bottom is much harder. It removes all inertia. You're no longer using the stretch shortening cycle in the hamstring, so it's a very hard intraset overload variable, but it's a great way to build strength. It's a great way to bust through a plateau. And that's where tempo comes in. You know, manipulating tempo throughout your programming it's really, really important. And this is covered in the UMS Strength Essentials mini course, which you guys get access to as part of the UMS online coaching. And you want to really dive into that content and read that thoroughly to learn how to use tempo, because it's something that we want to prescribe on a case-by-case basis for people. We want you to get used to prescribing your own tempos, but not randomly. Do it with specificity. You know, understand. Okay, if I'm struggling to get stronger in a movement, then prescribe a pause rep, or something like that. But yeah, as a blanket statement, I don't see anything wrong with doing the 30x0 because it's going to condition you for the testing protocol so that when testing comes around every 6 weeks, you're going to be really ready for it. And guys, tempo is the thing that people get wrong most in testing.
Yep.
9 times out of 10, when I attend the gym when there's a testing week going on and I stop and watch the tribe testing, there's a lot of people that mess up the tempo because ego steps in the way and you want to lift the heaviest weight possible. And that's what the tempo is there for. It's there to help you keep your testing uniform so okay, something's gone wrong since last time to this time because I'm not lifting more weight. Yeah, and then we start to digest, break that apart and go, okay, what's going on? Am I recovering properly? Am I overtraining at the moment? Have I...
It's more like 19 out of 20 times that's what people mess up.
People mess up, yeah.
Yeah. Steve is saying here, please quickly explain what 30x0 means. So 30x0, the 4 numbers on tempo, the first number is the eccentric phase, going where the muscles are lengthening, the muscle phase the contraction, the part of the movement where the muscle contraction, the muscle is lengthening. So on a bicep curl, that's when you're going down. 0 is the pause between the eccentric and the concentric phase. So in this case, it's a 0-second pause. X is the concentric phase. So the third number is when the muscle is shortening. And then X means as fast as possible.
Is explosive.
And then 0 is the pause between the concentric and the eccentric. So that means 3-second eccentric, 0-second pause, as fast as you can concentric. So a bicep curl would look like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and a 3010 would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, and a 3110 would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1. You can see it's all of the different variables.
It's very rare that you prescribe time under load for a concentric unless you're prepping a muscle, warming up, or bodybuilding. And bodybuilders, it's all about maximizing time under tension and metabolic damage. But the majority of metabolic damage, if not all of it, I'm not 100% over the research, but I'm pretty sure the research now states that the metabolic damage is caused on the eccentric phase only.
Yeah.
So what that means is that if you remove the eccentric load, you don't get sore after the workout. And it's that soreness, it's that metabolic damage that's one of the integral components of muscular hypertrophy. It's one of the main pathways to building muscle mass. Mm-hmm. So bodybuilders really like slowing down that eccentric. We slow the eccentric down for both the reason of we want to build mass and we want to strengthen the mass, but it's also a safer way of exercising. It's a way of increasing the volume of a workout and in a safe way. And so that's tempo in a nutshell, really.
Yeah. So Aiden's nailed it with the Aiden Potts has nailed it with the tempo there. Good work, mate. Richie, do you want to pull up Bronwyn's comment again? So Bronwyn is saying Central Queensland still following the 18-minute stretching daily and working on handstands. Love the daily motivations. That's so cool, Bronwyn. Great way to take extreme ownership of your training and get some good results, and that's a really good combination of programs, if you want to get flexible and learn a really cool skill like the handstand. So we've got a few minutes left, and we said that we were going to address this because we did have a few people comment on this post that came up the other day. So Cassandra Numa Michael or Mikkel said, I did the leg workout today, Terminator Tuesday, she's calling it. On average, how many calories are we burning after a 50-minute workout? So it's quite funny. Firstly, we'll say Yanni and I, we're not big on measuring calories in workouts because we went quite deep on this, and we've got a friend who has a PhD in metabolic research, so he'd be considered somewhat of an authority on this topic, wouldn't you say?
He is an authority.
Yeah, on calorie consumption, calorie expenditure, calories, all of this stuff. He's also got a master's degree in nutrition, and he reads about 20 peer-reviewed papers a week, and he's been doing that for about 15 or 20 years. So he is an
smart
absolute guru at this stuff. And
not a guru, he's an intellect.
Yeah, he's
and
an
he's
intellect,
a smart.
yeah,
I hate the word guru.
Yeah, I agree.
He's an intellect, and he's very,
Tony
very up
Battaji
to
we're
date.
talking about here, if you want to Google him.
Tony's it's a passion in his life to stay up to date with the current literature, the current research.
Yeah. And so you'll never get a more objective view on what goes on. There's nothing subjective about what he says.
Yep.
So when we asked him, he said in all of the tests, the best heart rate monitors were so far off what actual calories burnt in a workout was. And the only way to
there's very clear distinction here when you're doing interval training or strength training.
Yeah.
Steady state cardiovascular exercise, the algorithms work very well with, and the best algorithm is polar heart rates. This is back when we were taught a couple of years ago. I don't know if there's new tech out there that's now superior to polar heart rate monitors. But yeah, you've got to make that distinction.
Okay, right.
Steady state cardio, they're absolutely okay to test for.
Okay, yeah. So doing the kind of training that we do, though, is
that's right.
Yeah, high intensity
any
interval
sort of
training,
gym training when you're working out, and the reason is because of the extreme fluctuations in heart rate during a workout like that.
Yeah.
When you do a strength set, even bicep curling dramatically elevates heart rate, and but then it drops right down again when we're resting and recovering, because you sometimes have 90 seconds or 2 minutes recovery between sets. Now the UMS program's a little different because we don't really rest ever. We're either stretching or we're strength training, and so the heart rate would stay elevated a little bit more depending on how flexible you are or how new you are to flexibility training. It can elevate heart rate. You get a sweat when you're stretching. But it's so inaccurate, and it also varies dramatically person to person. I said in the comment yesterday, I know I've sort of railroaded Rad here, but I said in the comment yesterday, a more muscular person will burn the most amount of energy because muscle tissue is dense tissue that requires energy it feeds on the calories, whereas fat mass doesn't. However, there's a caveat to that argument. A very overweight person, due to excessive fat mass, is carrying additional weight, which is going to stress the body's muscles more. So the muscle tissue gets a more effective workout in a body weight style exercise routine like we're doing in those daily workouts if you're carrying additional fat mass. It's like wearing a weight vest for a lean person. Okay, so there's all these variables that come into play, but both of those scenarios, a very muscular person or a very overweight person, are going to get more calorie expenditure than a skinny person. So that throws another variable in the picture. If you're really slim or skinny fat, then you're not going to be burning much calories at all. So we like to sort of say, and this is based on Tony's recommendation, use a blanket of about 200 to 300 calories per person, depending on how big you are. It's very, very unlikely that you're going to burn more than about 400 calories in a strength training workout. It's just the workout is just not going to get your heart rate up that high, But in a steady state workout where you burn a lot of energy, a lot of calories, because you're remaining in that sort of calorie burning, because there's all these other variables too. If you go into high intensity exercise or anaerobic exercise, which a lot of the HIIT intervals do, then you are no longer really burning fat during those workouts. There's all these different variables that come into play. And so for that reason, you may as well finish up.
Well, the average, the research shows that the average calorie expenditure in a HIIT session or a strength training session is between 200 and 400 calories.
Yeah.
Which is far less than what people seem to think that they're burning. I was shocked when I did that because I used to wear my polar heart rate monitor all the time, and I'd be stoked when I got 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
And when I asked Tony, he went, "Oh, it's actually a hell of a lot less than that." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why we just don't put any weight in trying to measure calories burnt during a workout. But what we do recommend people do is, it is a highly, highly beneficial exercise to spend a bare minimum of 30 days where you obsessively track calories and understand what is in the food that you're eating with a really good calorie tracking app. I'm not even sure what the good ones are now. MyFitnessPal used to be good back in the day. purely for the idea to start to understand what macronutrients are in food and how many calories are in different foods. People are really, really shocked to know how many calories are in something like a juice, for example, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that's a really, really good exercise, because when you do that once, you know, for a long period of time, you start to be able to look at food and drinks and go, oh, well, I don't really know if I want to have that because that's got a lot of calories in it, whereas, you know, this is a bit lower. And that was really beneficial for Yanni, Richard and me. We can keep ourselves in a good shape by just understanding, okay, well, I ate this last night and that probably had 1,000 calories in it in the one meal, or 1,500 calories. I'm going to just eat some salad and lean meat today, or whatever, you know.
Yeah. So just to give you a bit of a deeper understanding of how to use what we've just said for everyone out there who's watching. For Rad and I, we would assume, because of our muscle mass, that we would burn 400 calories in that workout. For Richard, probably 300, because he's a bit smaller than us. I'm joking. All three of us would probably be in that 400 category. If you're a very big individual, you're probably burning 300 to 400 calories. If you're a smaller individual, you'll be burning 200 to 300 calories. So use that as a benchmark. Now, guys, I wear a very, very expensive piece of kit here, an Aura ring that tracks all of my my body's output, calories, everything, heat, expenditure, temperature, body temperature, all that sort of stuff, sleep. And I take the ring off when I do my workouts, because otherwise at the end of the day, I get a report generated on my phone and my laptop that gives me an idea of my sleep quality, my exercise quality, my resting metabolism, body temperature, resting heart rate, max heart rate, lowest heart rate, all that sort of stuff, which I find really interesting. I like data. But I don't let it measure my workouts, because it throws it out. And to my knowledge, it's not very accurate. So I just take the ring off during my workout, and then I add 400 calories to my daily calorie expenditure. And that just makes it pretty easy.
Could also be because you don't want to break your $10,000 ring.
Yeah, well, that too. But the other thing is, guys, it's not data suggests, and this is we got a lot of information to prove this, is that people under-report food calories and over-report exercise calories. So it's not going to hurt you if you under-report your exercise calories a little bit, you know.
Absolutely.
And what Rad said is really true. It's such a good exercise to learn calories and how they affect your body. We like to, unless you're going to spend $1,000 or $500 on a good Aura ring or something like a wearable that you wear 24/7, which is the best way to measure resting heart rate and all that, and your metabolism, your what do they call it?
Heart rate monitor?
No, how many calories you burn on a 24-hour period. Basal metabolic rate. That's right. If you're not going to invest in a really good, high quality wearable, then go and get a DEXA scan. And a good DEXA scan clinic will have created an algorithm. Measure Up in Australia have created an algorithm, because the sports scientist that owns the company is an absolute beast. He is the godfather of calories and metabolism and body composition in Australia, and I'm sure America will have an equivalent. They have clinics where you can go and you can get tested once. It's a little investment that you spend. Here it's about $100, and then you have a very clear picture of what your body requires to survive, and then you can start to play with that with measuring calories, food calories and exercise calories and things like that. But it's so important to get that benchmark first.
Yeah, it's a really, we make this really clear in our marketing and everything that we say, that we are not a weight loss gym at all. It is not something, we've made that distinction. We've been down that road before, and there are people out there are gyms out there that do it so much better than we do. And we decided to really, get tunnel vision on what it is that we do best, which is make people really strong and really flexible and teach them how to move in ways that they've never been able to do before. That said, the time that we spent by getting a few DEXA scans, learning about calories in versus calories out, learning about the calories that are in food, is a really valuable thing to do. And it's something that will be invaluable for you if you're somebody that's struggling with weight. But it also requires that extreme ownership. It requires, it's useless if all you do is go and get this information and you don't do anything with it. You have to when you start learning about what kind of foods have what kind of calories and what empty calories versus nutritious calories are, and you start to look at what you eat, you have to actually make changes.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to act on it. And it's like this analogy that Yanni always uses. It's like a rocket, taking off to the moon. That's changing a habit is the same analogy. You use 90% of your fuel, 90% of the effort breaking the Earth's atmosphere, and then only 10% getting the other 98% of the way. The first 200 kilometers on a 360,000 kilometer journey uses 90% of the fuel. And that's what breaking a habit is like. It is so hard to get through that first 10 days. But if you're serious about it, like I've just broken the habit of eating dairy almost daily. I've never done it before, honestly. Even in all of the dietary changes I did, like getting rid of wheat, getting rid of processed sugar, getting rid of alcohol, those are the big ones. I never got rid of dairy. And I always just told myself, well, I've got rid of all this stuff, I'll keep dairy. And Saturday was my first day not having dairy, so it's now Thursday. It's been 5 days, and I'm really noticing, I'm like, wow, I don't have the craving for it anymore. I don't, like that craving was, over the weekend, it was furious. I was so craving some yogurt and some muesli or something that I'd normally have as a healthy snack, right? Like I'm doing that in the little speech parenthesis here for those of you listening. Do you want to we'll have a quick shout out to some of these guys before we finish?
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure Mario Romero Lopez just joined us. Mario, if you're on the stream, say hello.
Yeah, welcome, brother. And Martin Kudelis has joined. Morning,
a couple
Martin.
of our tribe members from the gym here.
Richie, can you bring up Carmine Matroni's comment here? So Carmine has said a really good comment here. Do you recommend doing the 18-minute stretching routine before the 7 a.m. workouts, or is that overkill? Absolutely not. That is absolutely not overkill. And if you have the time to do that, and especially in this lockdown phase, then by all means, man, that is a really good thing to do. When you watch those live streams, you'll often notice that I'm walking around for 10 or 15 minutes before the show, just doing some general flexibility and some general stretching. That is a really, really good thing to do. I love that. Do you want to bring up Greg's? Aidan Potts next, Richie. Aidan Potts has said, what is the new book, lads? It's right here. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I am listening to it again myself. It'll be at least the third or fourth time that I'm listening to it on Audible, but I haven't listened to it for about 7 or 8 years because this is one of the first ones that Yanni and I read. I've read it and I've listened to it, and I think I'm listening to it again. And man, are you back on it?
Yeah, I haven't started because I'm finishing Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday, but I will read it again.
I'm into coming to the end of the first chapter, and it's funny for me because it's reminding me of what the start of this self-development journey was like for us, because the concepts that are in there are groundbreaking for people that haven't done this self-development journey. But for me, it's kind of like, feels like it's old. It's like the basics, but it's really good. It's so valuable.
Just quickly, Steve Kavanagh, can you bring up Steve Kavanagh's question? He said, Yanni, totally endorse Rhonda Patrick. Listened to the hour-long COVID-19 Q&A yesterday. You covered or summarised a lot of it. Thanks for the recommendation. You may also want to talk about sauna at some time. You're jumping ahead. That's the latest. She's done a number of really great articles on the effects of sauna and the effectiveness of sauna. Previously, there's some really solid research that she covered last year indicating that 20 minutes or 15 minutes of sauna is equivalent for the cardiovascular system to 60 minutes of a steady state cardio exercise for all of the health markers. Like phenomenal, not the calorie burning, but the health, like the health improvements, which is really quite alarming. And I was like, as soon as I read that study, I got onto my mother and my stepfather because they both need this big time and they're building a new house, and I'm like, put a sauna downstairs in the basement, trust me guys, and I'm still pushing them to do it. Yeah, I'm going to cover it because what they're finding is actually that it really enhances the health markers that you need for COVID-19 as well. I'm sure you're all over that now because you saw that Q&A. It's a brilliant Q&A. I should probably link it in the video here because it'd be so good for everyone to watch. And yeah, man, I have a massive professional crush on Rhonda Patrick. She's a beast in the way of what she's up to and what she's doing, and just how much she shares. She's on a really good mission. She's got a great vision, and I think that she's just doing really good things. She's where I got introduced to a lot of the people that are up on the research on time restricted eating. People like Dr. Sachin Panda from the Salk Institute and things like that. I got caught onto them through her podcast. Anyway.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and so good to see all of the interaction here. Greg Gillespie, thanks for tuning in, brother, and so glad you enjoyed the workout. And yeah, it's just really good to see that the work that we're putting in is being appreciated by all of you all around the world. Your comments, sharing this stuff really helps us, but it's just really nice to know that what we're doing is valued. So thank you, and we will see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. for another kick-ass workout and end of a great week. Have a good day, everyone.
Good work, guys.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, consider subscribing to our channel and make sure you click the notification bell so you know when our weekly videos are uploaded. Now, the best thing for you to do if you want to stay connected with us and get free online coaching is to join our private Facebook group. It's called the UMS Movement Mastermind, and we go live daily where we answer our members' questions. It's very interactive because you can post questions while we're live and we interact with you on the show. You can also upload videos or pictures of yourself with any movements, any stretches, strength training movements, calisthenics, weightlifting, anything that you're struggling with, and we'll critique you, give you feedback, let you know how you can get better. It's a really valuable resource. It allows a lot of communication with us and also our senior tribe members. You'll get answers very, very quickly, and it's absolutely free. So jump on Facebook, search for UMS Movement Mastermind, and join now. Until next time, have a great day.